the meeting of the Middlesex County School Board please come to order? Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to ask you to observe a moment of silence for the school shootings down in Georgia at Appalachia High School last week. So let's have a moment of silence and keep them in our minds and prayers. Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Hearing none, then let's move on to public announcements. First public announcement is that this is National Arts and Education Week. And we are fortunate at MCPS to have teachers who are qualified and energetic about teaching the fine arts to all of our students, K through 12. And I think this is important, and it's also important to note that there's some research, in fact, a recent study of Virginia public school students that showed that art students that were taking courses in the arts, being band members, perhaps in a theater group, have lower chronic absenteeism as compared to non-art students. And the correlation was consistent across multiple key variables such as race, ethnicity, gender, free and reduced lunch, and English language learners. So you probably didn't, as I didn't, realize that the arts, in addition to increasing the cultural awareness and just the quality of life for our students, also has some other benefits and takes a bite out of chronic absenteeism, which we're all trying to do right now. Other public announcements include the announcement that on September the 20th, we will observe the end of Q1 interim grading. Time flies. And on September the 23rd is a work day and a professional development day for faculty and staff, and no school for students. And our new student board rep might be smiling right now at that. October the 14th, we will come back for our October meeting of the Middlesex County School Board. So those are the public announcements. Dr. Seitz, do you have any recognition?
I do. I would like to introduce our new student representative, Anna Crown. Anna is a senior at Middlesex High School. She's a member of the National Honor Society. She is a student tutor this year. She is one of the Oyster Festival Queen contestants. She has been on the varsity tennis team for 3 years. She's been a yearbook editor, member of the prom committee. She was treasurer of the junior class last year, and she also volunteers outside of school at the Colonial Seaport Foundation, where she creates curriculum for the Living Education program. And so Anna was one of the applicants for this year. There was a series of interviews, and Anna was the one that was nominated to serve in this role. So we're very happy to have her with us this year in this capacity.
Welcome, Anna.
Thank you.
Anna, would you like to say anything right now, or we hope that you'll feel free to speak up at any time during our meeting. But is there anything else that we don't know about you? I
want to major in education and be an elementary school teacher. So
Now, that's important. We like
hiring
that.
in the office.
Another,
Just go walk.
we'll try to keep you happy, because we want you to come back here. So after that recognition and warm welcome for Anna, I'd like to call for comments from the public. Please note that the board has voted to proceed with a single public comment session from now on. Comments are welcome on general board business or specific agenda items. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Note that we will not be entering into dialogue at this time. The purpose of this agenda item is for the public to inform us, the board, about your views. If you have specific factual questions or complaints, please check in with the principal of the appropriate school. They are seated on the side and will be glad to assist you. We welcome written comments and questions. Who do we have that signed up to make public comments?
Dawn Moore, Saluda District.
Good evening. As the policy-making body of the school, you all made a motion after public comment last month. I find it very disappointing. A lot of the parents, even though they're not here, were very upset to hear it. That's something I think you should have tabled. I feel I come here on a regular. The people sitting behind me come here on a regular. We always speak in the second half, and the comment of, let's cut out the second one so people can make their comments and go home, I do not feel was appropriate. I feel we should be encouraged to come here, to speak to the board and to listen to what's going on, to the policies you're changing. Parents have no clue what you are doing, none. And for that comment to be made so you can make a comment and leave, I find it very insulting to myself. I do not feel that you want to hear from us anymore. You have made it, gotten very restrictive. I am waiting for you to follow other school systems and make us call a week ahead of time to be put on the call list, because it seems like Middlesex don't know how to be its own county. It seems like all Middlesex wants to do is follow everybody else. I really wish Middlesex would find themselves again and become their own, because following other people's policies, I do not feel is just. I also asked that you had tabled or to consider allowing Middlesex clergy to speak, and you went on and you made the motion and accepted your policy as written. I find that to be an insult to our clergy of the county, because now they cannot speak on behalf of their members of their church, as some of them really go to the pastor because they don't know what to do next. I'm really hoping the school year does not continue this way, because I am not very happy with the school at this point in Middlesex County. And I am a big advocate for Middlesex County up until now. Thank you.
Caitlin Gresham, Saluda District.
Good evening. The school board has constantly made changes to silence the people that voted you in. And it's becoming more apparent, especially when my family and I have been the ones to use the second public comments to address the school board, along with Dawn Moore. This does not change the length of the meeting, because the same amount of people would speak whether it is during the first or second public comments. the school board has better policies or changes they can work on that would be child-focused and benefit the children of the school. Instead, you continuously choose to waste time voting and changing policy on public comments, which at times hold you accountable for doing your job. I ask that you rethink your position on this and remember that these public comment sections are for your constituents and not for you to feel comfortable. There are more important policies that benefit the children that you could be voting on, but you choose to waste taxpayers' time on making policies to silence the very ones that vote you in, and we're just beyond disappointed. For some reason, you say that you want to be transparent, but every policy change that you've made has made it more difficult for people to come and speak to you. We don't need to just go to our representative when the school system is the problem. We need to be able to speak to the entire board at one time and voice our opinion. Now, we can do it here, or we can do it in the newspaper, or we can do it in the media. It's up to you, but it's going to be told, and you're going to be held accountable, and you need to start responding to the people that voted you in instead of to your personal agendas. Thank you.
I'll keep time since our timer doesn't seem to be working. Cesar Gresham, Harmony Village. Charlene Williamson, Saluda.
Next, we will go to board member comments and reports. Tiffany?
I do not have anything new at this time.
Tommy?
I have nothing at this time, no.
I can report that last week we had a meeting of the school construction committee, which is working on renovations to Middlesex High School. I'm very pleased with the progress that that committee is making, slow as it is, but we need to be slow at this point so that we make sure that we consider all the details and that we end up with a school building for the high school that reflects a good place to teach and learn and is ready for the next 25 or 30 years. So I'll keep you posted, but I think that we may just have some acceleration of the progress in the next few months, at least we hope so. Anything else, Dr. Seitz? You were
I
at
think
the meeting.
that's a good summary.
Okay. So let's then go to action items, school board policy revisions. Dr. Seitz?
Yes, and so all of the policies that are in tonight's packet actually were just updated in July, and then they determined that there were some very minor changes and/or corrections that we've received this month. So I'm going to go through each one of those to highlight what those changes are. The first is policy BDD, electronic participation in school board meetings from remote locations. They just added to the policy that it has to be adopted at least once annually. That's the only change that I bring for that one. Policy GC, professional staff, that was to clarify language on the first and second bullets due to the addition of the local eligibility license, which was voted on by the General Assembly this year. It's to help clarify that section of licenses. Policy IAA, notification of learning objectives. There actually was a typo in there that needed to be corrected. And we're in section 2C, it should be school year instead of school board. And policy JEC, school admission. So on this one, I think there was some confusion and discrepancy between what the Virginia Department of Education interpreted and what the Department of Social Services was practicing from the code, specifically related to kinship care. It's a long policy, but the thing that's being updated is in reference to kinship care. And so what they added in for last month, they pulled out for this month. I can tell you that I've met with the Director of Social Services along with our school division social worker and data specialist. We met after the first policy update and discussed. And then we came back and met again after this policy update was recommended. And so what I am recommending to you, the portion that's being fully pulled out, I am recommending that there is some language that we add in after the 4th bullet in section 3, following the reference to the code. And that was what we discussed, both the Director of Social Services and myself and the school social worker. We are recommending that you add, the school division requires the parent or adult relative to obtain written verification from the local Department of Social Services where the parent or parents live, or the Department of Social Services where the kinship provider lives, that the kinship arrangement serves a legitimate purpose that is in the best interest of the person other than school enrollment. And what that's in reference to, because you can see in that section on, it has to do with enrolling students. Who qualifies if you are not a resident of Middlesex County. In this case, it would be if a student has gone to live with a relative and the relative lives in Middlesex County. And it's not a foster care situation and it is not an adoption situation. That we work directly with the Department of Social Services to become involved in that situation to determine that yes, this is a legitimate need for the student to come live here. It has not gone through any of the other processes, but it is a legitimate reason for the student to be enrolled here. And the thing that's important about that partnership is that oftentimes if we've got a student or a family in a situation like that where guardianship has not been provided or adoption or things, it's likely a situation where the Department of Social Services needs to be involved anyway, and we can start that partnership from the very beginning. So we are, both that organization and us, and myself and our school social worker are asking that piece be added in. It was kind of pulled out from when they added it in July, but it makes sense for us to have that in there again to strengthen that partnership and provide resources to families. And then the last policy update is JO, student records, and it's indicated that that is updated to avoid duplication of information in another policy, KBA-E. But the only thing that changes is that fees charged for copies of records are just in line or in accordance with state and federal laws instead of school divisions determining on their own what those charges are. And so those are the updates. If you have any questions about any of them, I'm certainly happy to answer them.
Any questions from board members? I have one question. It's on IAA, the notification of learning objectives. And it's not a change, but it says at the beginning of each school year, each school within our school system provides to its students, parents, or guardians information on the availability and source for receiving learning objectives and so on. How do we do that? That
would be provided, there's lots of things that come home for the teachers at the beginning of the year, and that's provided for things that come home then.
Okay, so hard copy or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That was my only question.
Okay.
So this is on first reading.
Yes.
So do I have a motion to, I don't think we need to approve it now. It'll be back again next month,
It
right?
comes, I think you approve it on first read and then it comes back for
All right,
final,
so-
in case there's any amendments, yes.
All right, then do I hear a motion to approve this set of policy changes on first reading?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So then, let's move on to the next action item, reconsideration of a request to transfer property. This item was tabled at our last meeting. The Board of Supervisors has requested that the school board transfer property identified as tax map parcel 27-123A to county ownership to determine future use and potential return to the tax rolls. Do I hear a motion to remove this item from the table?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor for removing this item from the table?
Aye.
So is there any discussion on this item? Are we ready for a vote? Do I hear a motion to approve the transfer of this property to the ownership of the Board of Supervisors?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that ends our action items. Now we have some information items on the instructional report. Dr. Bishop.
All right. We are in the middle of our fall testing for our students, which includes the VKRP, which is Virginia Kindergarten Readiness Program. It measures mathematics, social skills, and self-regulation. Also, we have VALS, Virginia Language and Literacy Screening System, measuring phonological awareness, decoding, encoding, reading fluency, and other characteristics of a reader, and also MAP, measures of academic progress, measuring math and reading progress in elementary, middle, and also in high school. These assessments really help to provide one more set of data beyond the SOLs to help make sure that our students are getting what they need when they need it and putting the resources for those students. I would like to spotlight Compass Academy with an enrollment of 10 students, including 7 students in the 4th year of high school. Not only does this program create an opportunity for students who may be behind in earning credits for on-time graduation, it also focuses on student engagement and keeping kids a sense of belonging within this small cohort of students and preparing them for life beyond high school. It's an ever-evolving program based on the needs of the students, so it's every year it's a little bit different, and the newest and based on the newest research on teaching and learning of those adolescents. For instance, they're implementing a new navigation and exploration period to focus on the 5 C's: collaboration, communication, creativity, critical thinking, and civic skills, and also workplace readiness. There are many plans in the works for Compass Academy, and I think the board and Dr. Seitz and I am looking forward to seeing their successes this year.
Thank you, Dr. Bishop.
I'm going to piggyback onto Dr. Bishop's
Oh,
report
okay.
for the SOL results, but I'm going to move down there since the clicker is now there. I'll go this way. Oh, no.
Oh, good.
All right, you actually have a hard copy in front of you. I'm not sure how small it is, just because I know it's difficult for the board to see the smart board that we have beside us here. So I'm going to go through this presentation and happy to answer questions as I go through it if you all have questions. If this is going to work. Does when we turn it on. So just keeping in mind, we always keep in front of us our mission of engaging, inspiring, and empowering our students. It's tied to our strategic plan that we updated last year, and it continues to be a focus in all of our buildings every day. And so I'm going to start with reading at the elementary school. I will let you know that especially for the elementary and the middle school level, these accreditation data include growth and recovery along with pass rates that allow our division to be measured by continuous improvement. And so at the elementary level, in the area of reading, overall pass rate in all of our subgroups are at a level 1. And a level 1 is how the state identifies us to be at or above standard. And again, that's measured by the state. The only subgroup that we did not see an increase in this year were English language learners, which did slip slightly from 92% to 87%, excuse me. But this is a very small cohort, about 15 students, and 1 or 2 students can always sway a percentage if you're looking at that. but they're also still at a level 1. Something I want to add about our English language learner students is that in comparison to previous years, when these learners were enrolling early on at the pre-K and kindergarten level, we are seeing more students enroll at later elementary or middle or high school level, and they've not had that early foundation of English, and they are coming to us as English language learners. So we are going to see, probably as we move forward in testing, we are going to see some differences there in those reports, but it is something that we are aware of and working on. Also, I would add that while white students did slip from 85% to 81%, they still are at a level 1. Again, all of our subgroups are at a level 1, which is at or above standard as measured by the state. I would also like to point out that black student percentage increased from 67% pass to 83% pass this year, which was the largest increase of any subgroup gain at the elementary school in the area of reading. In mathematics, overall, our students increased, and that in mathematics also, there is only one subgroup that is not a level 1, and that is students with disabilities. But you will see from the graph that these students still made growth in this past year. But in order to be a level 1, they needed to reduce their failure rate by 10% because they are not at a 75% passing rate. So this will still be an area, a stronger area of focus for us going into the next year. Overall, all students in the area of mathematics, or our overall pass rate, I should say, black students, white students, and students with disabilities increased their pass rates for this year. As we move to the middle school, overall the percentage of reading pass rate increased 8 percentage points from the previous year, raising it to a level 1. Every subgroup except one experienced an increase in passing percentages, and while the percent passing for students of multiple races decreased slightly, the subgroup is still at a level 1, meaning at or above standard as measured at the state level. ELL, which is our English language learners, you will not see on this chart for reading and for mathematics for St. Clair Walker because the number is too small to report. So for mathematics at the middle school, overall percentage increased 5 percentage points, while two groups did not increase from the previous year, which was Hispanic students that are still at a level 1 at 83%, and students with disabilities who are at a level 2, which is near standard and remains a focus for this year. Black students increased 11 percentage points from the previous year, which is the largest gain of any given subgroup in mathematics at St. Clair Walker. And again, as I shared on the reading slide, ELL is not reported because it was not a large enough number to report. Moving to the high school, overall percentage increased 1.5 percentage points, and the overall percentage for English, which includes a combination of both reading and writing in the 11th grade, is at 89.94%, of which would round to 90%. While we've seen a decline from the previous year for black students and economically disadvantaged students, both of these gap groups still remain at a level 1, which is at or above standard. And at the high school level, because this is considered a verified credit course, and both the SOL and the course have to be passed in order to earn that credit for graduation, students are remediated and students retake the end of course assessment or another assessment that's approved by the state in order to graduate. And with the additional supports and assessments we have in place at Middlesex High School, we've been successful in getting any student through the assessment to earn that verified credit. So again, even looking at percentages like this, it's not a concern as we move into graduation and students being successful there. Just keeping in mind that this is only one grade level that's tested. This is in the 11th grade year, and so you'll see shifts in the number of students in cohorts, and you'll see some differences in cohort pass rates. And I'd also like to point out in this area that we saw a 9 percentage point increase from last year to this year for students with disabilities. In mathematics at Middlesex High School, the overall percentage at the high school was a 96% pass rate with an increase of 5 percentage points from the previous year. In this case, black students had the highest percentage increase, which was an 11 percentage points. And even though students with disabilities did not increase from last year, their percentage pass rate was at 87%, which is a level 1. This change can be a difference of maybe 1 or 2 students that don't pass in a cohort from year to year. Most of these data are based on the Algebra 1 assessment, which is given to all 9th graders. When we look at chronic absenteeism, all schools have decreased their chronic absenteeism rates, with St. Clair Walker showing the most and the strongest improvement there. This still remains a high focus for the division, and this is where actually we need the most help from parents, because any absence is counted toward this rate. So unless a student is contagious, they need to be in school. Our practice is that students need to be fever-free for 24 hours without fever-reducing medication and symptoms are improving. We want them here. If someone else in the household is sick, our students can still attend. I'll point out also that vacations are not excused, nor are educational experiences that parents may remove their child from school to attend. Any child that's not in school for any time, that absence counts towards chronic absenteeism. It's not just a Middlesex County problem, it's statewide and nationwide, and is still a focus for this year. When we looked at on-time graduation rate, this is the official graduation rate that shows the percentage of students in a cohort who earned a Board of Education approved diploma within 4 years of entering high school for the first time. And this rate actually allows for special education and English learners whose educational plans allow for additional years in high school. And this is another rate that 1 or 2 students not graduating on time can affect. The College Career and Civic Readiness Indicators, an index that measures for the graduating cohort student preparation for college and careers while in high school. Credits given for advanced coursework, CTE courses and credentials, JROTC coursework and credentials, work-based learning, and service learning. This year, we are at a level 1 in this indicator. You can see how we have increased. Last year, we were at a level 2. And actually, our preliminary data that I shared as an overview in July had us up at a level 2, but by the time the final data came through, we did land at a 91%, which puts us at a level 1. And that is one of the reasons why when we give an overview in July, it simply is an overview. We can't go into or don't go into disaggregated data because that information is not final from the state at that point. And so if we're looking at 2019 to 2024, I shared this in July and I'm sharing it again. This is some of the best data we have seen since 2019. And we go back to 2019 as the last year of assessments that was pre-pandemic data. This is a testament to the literacy work that's being done at the elementary level, that we will continue to see growth as students move through the upper grades. We have built a strong foundation and we continue to build the necessary skills and supports to increase both student engagement and learning throughout the division. These are just 2 simple examples of a comparison of 19 data compared to 2024 data. Specifically, reading scores at the elementary school and math scores at the high school have increased both overall and in every subgroup that's measured. Again, this is only a small highlight of how we are returning to pre-pandemic rates. We are also, there were 3 areas that we were considered level 3 or below standard or a red bar last year. 2 of those were in chronic absenteeism at 2 of our schools, and one of them was an achievement gap at the middle school. They have all increased to either a level 2 or a level 1 for this year with the growth these students have experienced. And so it doesn't mean that we consider our work done. It just means that we know that we're on the right track and we'll continue to build on the work as we plan for upcoming changes that are coming from the state level. And I want to give a quick highlight of what the upcoming changes are. And so when we're looking at student learning and accreditation, we, along with every division in the Commonwealth, are juggling multiple changes for this year. We have new standards in English and in mathematics that went into effect this year, which I will honestly say probably less support than we've ever received from the state level because some of the things were fast-tracked, but we put strong teams in place that have been working to update curriculum maps and ensure that proper teaching and learning, and that the requirements are being met for those standards. In addition to the new standards are new assessments for this year, so completely new assessments in these areas as we get to the spring. New assessments require new cut scores, and that's when the state measures and determines what percentage of correctly answered questions result in a pass. We have new curriculum at the elementary school also, because we had to move to a state-approved curriculum, and we chose bookworms, which we believe is aligned. We'll find out how close that's aligned when we get to the end of the year assessments. And so for all of these new things, we additionally have a new accreditation system that has completely changed. And so the level 1 through level 3 that I was just sharing with you, as I shared where we were, will be gone, and performance categories will be labeled as distinguished, on track, off track, and needs intensive support. Additionally, there will be new weighting framework for each level. At the elementary and middle level, they'll be measured on a percentage of mastery and of growth and a new readiness category. At the high school level, they'll be measured on mastery of SOL assessments, a new readiness category in the federal graduation indicator, which is different than the on-time graduation rate that I just shared with you, because it doesn't account for all of the diplomas that the Virginia Department of Education awards. And so all of those categories have changed. So while we celebrate our successes, and these data that I just presented should be celebrated, this team here in Middlesex County Public School has done an amazing job in moving the needle on where these students are and where they're going. We have been and we are in constant motion to keep up with the changes that are coming down from the state level, which will affect us in our new assessments at the end of the year. And so that is a description of where we have finished, things that we have in motion to keep going, and at this time I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? It's a lot of information, a lot of good results. Thank you, Dr. Seitz.
You're welcome.
But I don't think you're finished. I think that the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Yes, and I have my notes up there. I should have brought that down here so that I could do that from here, but I'll join you back on stage.
Okay.
Superintendent's report, I will start off with. We have had a great opening to the 24-25 school year. Our enrollment numbers are up based on what we projected our budget on. We projected a budget on 1,160. We're at 1,185. That does not include about 66 preschoolers that we have, 3- and 4-year-olds. The programs that we are in partnership with, we have 17 students attending the Chesapeake Bay Governor School, which is an increase from past years. We're excited about that. Bridging Communities has 27 students enrolled. We have 9 students enrolled in the JROTC program, which we partner with King and Queen Schools for, and we have 5 students in the RCC welding program. So that's the numbers of our programs. I will add and share that the last time we met, we updated our protocols on the cell phone policy, and we were waiting on draft guidance from the Virginia Department of Education. We have received that guidance, and I just want to highlight that for you, which is actually completely in line with the protocols that this board agreed to put in place. And so this guidance came out on August 15th. It is available for review and feedback through the 15th of this month, and it will be finalized on September 16th. At that time, the recommendation is that school boards review existing policies and work to create or revise any policies that adhere. I think when I go over what this guidance is, I think you'll see that it is in line with what we decided. The next step would be deciding if it's something that we want to put into a policy regulation, because right now we just have it as a protocol. I will reference bell to bell as I go through this, so I do want to just go over what that definition is, and it means from the time the first bell rings at the start of the school day until the dismissal bell rings at the end of the academic day, and bell to bell includes lunchtime and time in between classes. And so as an overview, they did break it into 3 levels, elementary, middle, and high. At the elementary level, the expectation is that electronic communication devices are not used by elementary students within the school building or on school grounds at any time. They must be turned off and stored away from the student during the school day. At the middle school, middle school students shall not have a cell phone or personal electronic communication device during the bell-to-bell school day, and the device must be stored and turned off during bell-to-bell during the school day, which is our practice anyway. And at the high school level, high school students shall not have a cell phone or personal electronic communication device during the bell-to-bell day. Must also be stored and off during bell-to-bell, which is exactly what our practice is. There are allowable exemptions for cell phones and personal electronic communication devices in that they must be written into a 504 IEP or individualized healthcare plan, which is exactly what our practice is. And so I did want to bring that in as a report. Our protocols are definitely in line with what that guidance is, and I think probably at maybe our next meeting, discuss whether we want to move forward with putting them into a policy regulation. Our current protocols are posted on the Virginia Department of Education's website, as are all schools. So there's an update there. I also want to share with you all that we will be hosting a virtual fireside chat. I say hosting as we will be in our media center here at St. Cloud Walker, be hosting a virtual version of it that is presented by the First Lady of Virginia, Mrs. Youngkin, and Jonathan Haidt, the author of The Anxious Generation. That book explores the impact of social media and other cultural changes in today's youth. And so it is being broadcasted to schools and schools only. We chose St. Cloud Walker Media Center as our site to offer that. It's September 19th. It's at 7 p.m. We did send an email to all of our families last week. We posted it on our website, social media, and I'll be sending another reminder at the beginning of the week. We've asked parents to sign up so that we can just make sure we can accommodate everybody who may attend. And so with that, that's all I have for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Dr. Seitz. Is there any old business that we need to discuss?
No.
Any new business? So then, pursuant to the Code of Virginia, we will go into closed session. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Opposed? We're now in closed session.
Don't forget your little card in the back here. Yeah, it's actually attached. Take all this. It's on there.
Thank you, because I know we gave it back.
Yeah, I know.